Hello, everyone. This is John Wolwack from Zipperman Compliance Services. I'm here with Diane Decoteau, one of our directors and chief compliance officers in our core compliance practice. And we're here to talk about how an exam kicks off and how we're notified of an exam. So Diane, in your experience, how is a firm first notified by the examiners that an exam will take place?
Thanks, John. It's a great question. Generally, the SEC exam team will reach out to the chief compliance officer of the firm to let them know that an exam is going to commence, and then they will follow up with a letter to the firm.
And then usually from our perspective, or even the CCO or whoever gets the notification, the first question that comes to mind is, why is my firm being examined? Can you tell us a little bit based on Zipperman's experience of why firms are examined?
Absolutely. I will mention that that's not something you can automatically tell based on the request letter you may receive, but generally there's four main reasons that a firm might be examined. The first one is that you're a new registrant. If you're new to the investment advisor space, then we would expect you'd be examined within your first few years of operations. Also, occasionally the SEC conducts industry sweeps on a particular topic, so you might be caught up in that if your firm does business in that area. In addition, it could be the case that there's a complaint or a whistleblower from your firm and the SEC is following up on that. And finally, the SEC has increasingly focused on risk-based exam, and because the SEC has an ability to sift through a massive amount of data now across various filings you may have, they may identify a particular risk associated with your firm and choose to conduct an exam because of that.
Thanks, Diane. That's very helpful. Usually, or most of the time, the SEC or FINRA will not tell you why they're there, but it may become evident based on the line of questioning or some of the topics in the document request list. So Diane, once we've been notified of an exam, what are some of the best practices we go over with our clients in the upcoming days after the notification in order to understand a little bit more about this exam?
The first thing a firm is going to want to do is to reach out to their senior management and legal team to develop a plan of attack to address the items in the request letter. So you'll want to assign responsibilities for each of the items across the functional areas in your firm and determine who's answering each item. It's a good idea to have a spreadsheet to track this. That's one thing that we recommend. You will want to schedule with the exam team any on-site or remote meetings to discuss the firm or any additional requests that may come through as part of the exam. In addition, it's a good idea to look into the composition of your exam team. You want to see who you're working with. Are you dealing with senior level people, a junior team? Are you dealing with enforcement? All of these pieces of information will color how you're approaching your exam response. And in addition, if your firm has been examined before, you'll want to look into any prior exam issues or findings and determine whether you've appropriately addressed them in the past or if some parts of those remain open items.
So Diane, now that I have the documentation information request from the examiners, if I've never been examined before, what advice would you give to me of what I should be doing at this point?
Once you have your exam team assembled, you'll want to discuss whether you think that this is a targeted exam or whether you think this is a routine exam. You'll want to look at the deadline for every request item in the letter. Usually this is 2 weeks to 30 days. And also, you will want to assign a document coordinator who will be the gatekeeper for the exam team. So if you're working directly with Zipperman, we will handle that for you. We will run point on all of the items in the request letter and coordinate both with your team and with ours to make sure that you're meeting all deliverable dates.
And when you look at the request and you're trying to interpret what the examiners are looking for, we think it's very important to, have a few people read that to make sure that you're addressing exactly what they're asking for. Can you give an example or two in your experience how that might be good advice for our clients?
It's excellent advice. You'll want to really look at each individual request and keep in mind those may be in individual subparts per question and identify the exact deliverables. If the letter mentions a specific date range, you don't want to give information outside of the date range. If they're asking for a specific yes or no question, then just answer yes or no. You don't need to explain it. Just provide the information that is specifically requested, and the SEC will have the opportunity to ask additional information if they need it. You'll want to formulate a plan to gather all of the information requested in the letter and make sure that each individual responsible party is doing their job, they're finding all the information that they need by the deliverable date, and actually in advance of the deliverable date, because you'll want to have a quality control system in place so that all of these exam responses are reviewed. So you'll want to make sure that you have this review process in place before you're sending it to the regulator. All information should go through the gatekeeper, and you may want to involve legal or senior compliance as well as part of that final review. Also, keep in mind that any documents provided are now of record. So everything you submit can't be changed. You can clarify it with the examiner, but you can't change what you've already submitted to the SEC.
So Diane, can you leave us with one piece of advice based on your experience that you may give to a client that's never been examined before or haven't been examined in a long time?
Yes, I'll note that every firm is going to go through the examination process at some point in time. You want to not panic, you want to be organized, and ideally you want to involve experts who've been through this process before and can walk you through it so that you're not draining unnecessary resources and you're approaching it in an organized and efficient manner. We've been through hundreds of exams with our clients. We've seen virtually every type of exam request before, and we'd be happy to help navigate your way through an exam.
Yeah, I think our experience and a little bit of a sales pitch is maybe at a little discounted cost from legal advice, and tapping into that experience of a compliance consultant or an expert at Zipperman would be a great way to manage the exam.
That's right.